Greetings everybody, welcome back to my channel. Thank you all for tuning in. On this video I wanted to take a look at the studio catalog of the mighty Van Halen, a band that I would probably consider them to be my second favorite band of all time. I discovered them when I was about 12 years old, was obsessed with them for, about a year, and have been one of my favorite bands ever since. So I want to take a look at the catalog here and rank these albums from my least favorite to my favorite. So even though I have done this ranking in the past, I just thought it was time to kind of redo this and refresh it a little bit. So without further ado, let's jump into my ranking of the Van Halen catalog, starting with my least favorite, number 12, this album right here. Coming in at the bottom of the pack, to the surprise of absolutely nobody, Van Halen 3, released in 1998. The one and only studio album that has Gary Cherone on vocals. Now, I don't think Gary Cherone is the problem with this album. I think Cherone's a fine frontman and a fine singer. He does great things with the band Extreme, but I think just about everything else on this album just didn't really give Gary much of a chance. The production is horrible. I mean, it sounds awful. The songs are just long and bloated, and there's good ideas in here. There's good riffs, there's good pieces of songs, but I think Eddie definitely needed someone to come in and sort of make some sense out of his madness, so to speak, because this album just falls pretty flat. Like I said, there's some stuff on here that I do like. New World and Without You, I think, are both pretty decent. One I Want is okay. Fire in the Hole has some good guitar riffs in it. Ballad of the Bullet's a good rocker. One of the best songs on this album actually didn't even make the album. That's Why I Love You. Would have probably been my second favorite track on the album had it been on here. But unfortunately, there's just too much on here that's just almost beyond repair. How Many Say I is terrible. Year to the Day just drags on pretty much a year to the day. Once, nah. I don't really like Dirty Water Dog. I know some people do. I never got that one. Josephina, I don't really care for. So, yeah, just a swing and a miss for Van Halen. I kind of hate that I have to be so negative on a Van Halen album, but this one is just not, unfortunately, that good. So, I would probably give Van Halen 3 probably about a 2 out of 10. So, at the bottom of the barrel for me, Van Halen 3.
Hello, baby!
Well, I surprised absolutely nobody with my number 12 pick, but my number 11 pick probably surprises quite a few of you. That's right, I'm going to go with 5150 in the number 11 spot. Now, this is not a bad album. Let me start off by saying that. Van Halen 3 is the only album I would say is not good. This one, though, I just don't think it's as great as pretty much all the others. I do like some of the hit songs on here. Why Can't This Be Love? Dreams is a great ballad as well. I love the title track. 5150 is an excellent song. But there's some songs on here I can barely stomach. Summer Nights, one of my, if not, well, I don't know if it's my least favorite song outside of Van Halen 3, but it sure is close. I've never really cared that much for Best of Both Worlds either. Good Enough, Get Up, always to me felt like it was written in about 3 minutes because they needed a rock song for the album. Inside's okay. That's the song on here that gets the most crap from people, but I do think it is kind of fun, actually. It's not really meant to be taken seriously, so there's good stuff on here for sure. I think this is one of the more dated sounding Van Halen albums. And of course it's the very first one to feature Sammy Hagar on vocals. Sammy, to me, very hit and miss when it comes to the lyrical department, and that's on full display here. I think some of the lyrics on some of these songs are god-awful, kind of like Summer Nights, and others are, to me, perfectly fine. 5150, Dreams, so a little bit of the typical Sammy Hagar inconsistency there, but all in all, it's a decent album, but for me, it kind of balances out at about 5 out of 10. Just one that I've never been terribly, terribly crazy about, but certainly not a bad album. So for me, number 11, 5150. In the number 10 spot, let's go with the 1988 follow-up to 5150. That would be OU 812. This is the band's second album with Sammy Hagar on lead vocals and their 8th studio album overall. Again, this is another like kind of half and half album for me. I find that I really like half of it, and the other half just falls way flat. Most of the songs I like are kind of front-loaded on the album. I think Mine on Mine's a terrific song. It's my favorite song on the album. Synth-driven, I don't really care. I just think it's a fantastic tune, and the synth playing is phenomenal. I think it features some of Sammy's best lyrics. AFU Naturally Wired is a really good tune. Cabo Wabo's decent. Source of Infection features some great guitar work from Eddie Van Halen. Black and Blue is a good song. The second half of the album is where this one falls flat. You got a couple of ballads that I could easily do without. Feel So Good, it's just kind of meh. Finish What You Started, Sucker in a Three Piece is terrible with some of Sammy's worst lyrics of all time. And there's a painful cover of Apolitical Blues at the end of the CD here that I just do not like. So, production-wise, it's a very soft production. It's very quiet, at least my CD is. I do think I own this on cassette and vinyl as well. I think those sound better, but it's a very soft, kind of neutered sounding album here, and it doesn't really pack the punch that most every other Van Halen album would give you. So all things considered, I think this one also evens out to about a 5 out of 10 for me. So number 10, I'm going to go with OU 812. In the number 9 spot, we're going to go with A Different Kind of Truth from 2012. The return of the great David Lee Roth on lead vocals. And though he does definitely not sound as good as he did in the 1980s, it is definitely great to have Diamond Dave back in the fold here. And thankfully, this album came out. This serves as a much better swan song to the band's catalog than Van Halen 3 ever could have been. So, of course, one of the key components of the band is missing here, Michael Anthony, and I, with everyone else, certainly miss his presence on this album. His background vocals were a huge part of Van Halen's sound all throughout the band's first 10 albums. But from a bass playing standpoint, I think Wolfgang Van Halen more than holds the fort down here. I think he's got some tremendous work. And in hindsight, I'm actually kind of glad that Wolf got the time to spend with his dad, touring with Van Halen when he did and working on the album. I'm sure those are memories that Wolf will cherish forever, having that time with his dad. So certainly miss Mike Anthony, but I really have no problem with Wolfgang here. I think there's some really killer tunes on here. Songs like She's the Woman, awesome. I love the riff in that song. You and Your Blues is awesome. Chinatown's really good. Blood and Fire, despite the fact that to me sounds more like a Van Hagar song, I just get a strong balance feeling from that tune, but it's a good song. Bullet Head's good. As Is, I think, is incredible. Great riff. I would put it up there with anything the band did on the first 6 albums. I think that highly of it. I like Big River a lot. There are some songs in here that I could trim just to make it a more concise album. Songs like Tattoo, which it's not great, but it's not bad. I don't hate it, but it's definitely one of my lesser favorite Van Halen tunes with Dave. Honey Baby Sweetie Doll, same story. Trouble with Never. So a couple tunes that I could probably cut just for the sake of having a more concise album, but I still think you got a lot of great stuff here. Glad this album came out. It's the only album that I got to experience as a new release as a Van Halen fan, because I discovered them in 2002, 4 years after VH3 came out. So forever grateful for this album here. It's my number 9 spot. It comes in the number 9 spot for me. I would probably give this album about a 6 out of 10. Now I'll go 6.5 out of 10. So 6.5 out of 10 for Different Kind of Truth. It's coming in at the number 9 spot. In the number 8 spot, let's go with For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge, released in 1991. This is the band's 9th studio album. Third was Sammy Hagar on lead vocals. And in my opinion, I think this is where they really come into their own with Sammy Hagar fronting the band. They return to a little bit more of a hard rock and heavier sound. Gone, for the most part, are the keyboards, other than Right Now, which is a piano-driven ballad and a great tune. Otherwise, you have some pretty guitar-heavy driven rock songs on here. Songs like Pound Cake. Judgment Day is a good, faster-paced tune. Run Around is awesome. Really catchy tune there. I love the run of songs at the end of the album here. The Dream Is Over, one of my favorites, if not my favorite song on the album. Right Now, 316, the nice little instrumental piece, and closing things out with Top of the World. This album definitely rocks a little harder than those first two Van Hagar releases. And, Sammy, I've kind of complained about his lyricism on the first two. I think you get more of the same from Sammy here. Some songs it works, some songs it doesn't. The stinkers on here for me would be Spanked, which I think is not very good, and Pleasure Dome, which I've never been a big fan of. But other than that, I think this is a really strong, solid album. I'm probably going about a 7 out of 10 for Unlawful Carnal Knowledge, and it comes in the number 8 spot for me. In the number 7 spot, let's go with 1995's Balance. This is the 4th and final studio album with Sammy Hagar on lead vocals. And I gotta say, despite the fact that this is basically the band falling apart because they hate each other at this point, I am like obsessed with the guitar tone on here. I just think Eddie's guitar tone is so rich, vibrant, otherworldly. It's so awesome. I love the way this album sounds. There's some great tunes on here as well. Songs like The Seventh Seal, Can't Stop Loving You, Don't Tell Me What Love Can Do is a great 1-2-3 punch to kick things off here. Amsterdam is awesome as well. Aftershock has just a great sound to it. I love Ballad Lithium. Take Me Back is a good ballad as well. So yeah, I think you got some fantastic songs and fantastic sounding songs on here. I just can't get over like how much I love the sound of this record. It's definitely a darker tone for the band. I think Gone are most of the lighthearted party songs. Sammy Hagar lyrically tackles some heavier topics here. And again, I think some of his better lyricism in the band comes on these first three songs: Seventh Seal, Can't Stop Loving You, Don't Tell Me What Love Can Do. He then instantly goes and ruins that with Amsterdam, but despite the fact that the chorus is Wham Bam Amsterdam, I still love that tune. Big Fat Money's a rocker with subpar lyrics to me. And you got some filler here. I mean, Strung Out, does that really need to be on the album? I don't know. Doing Time, it's cool to have Alex featured on an instrumental. However, it's like, I feel like he could have given us something with a little more of a wow factor. It's almost kind of feeling like Alex phoned that one in a little bit, but it does serve as a nice lead into Ballad Lithium, which is a nice tune. So all in all, awesome album. This has long been my favorite with Sammy fronting the band. So Balance for me, I'm going to go about a 7 out of 10. Really good album. Comes in the number 7 spot. Balance from 1995. Coming in the number 6 spot, I've got Van Halen 2, released in 1979. And if you haven't figured it out, the 6-pack is going to sweep my top 6. So that would lead one to believe, if you haven't also figured this out already, I'm definitely a Dave guy. But though Sammy Hagar definitely had his moments in the band, to me, this is where Van Halen fires on all cylinders. The original run of the band, as Alex said, is where the magic happened, and I can't disagree. Why do I have Van Halen 2 6th? Because I love all 6 of these albums, basically, and I'm nitpicking from here on out. But Van Halen 2 is fantastic. It starts off with the cover "You're No Good," which is a pretty good tune, just a weird choice For a album opener, to me, it just kind of eases you into the album a little bit. It's kind of slow, moody, heavy, and then you got a pop song at number 2 with "Dance the Night Away." Awesome tune. Then you kind of get into the meat and potatoes of this album, the hard rockers. "Someone Get Me a Doctor," "Bottoms Up," "Out of Love Again," "Light Up the Sky," my favorite song on the album. "Spanish Fly," which is freaking awesome as well. "DOA," just a heck of a run right there in the middle of the album. Then close things out, "Women in Love." Love the guitar work at the beginning of that song. Just some of Ed's most beautiful playing, in my opinion. And "Beautiful Girls," which is just another kind of fun song to kind of close things out here. So, yeah, Van Halen 2 for me is a 10 out of 10. So, I mean, we're at the cream of the crop here in these top 6. So, yeah, 10 out of 10 for me, Van Halen 2. So you know that the rest of these are going to be 10s as well. So number 6, Van Halen 2. In the number 5 spot, I've got 1984, released in 1984. This is the 6th studio album of the band, the last to feature David Lee Roth until 2012's "A Different Kind of Truth," as the band would part ways after this album and tour. Was Dave fired? Did Dave quit? As David Lee Roth said in an interview once, it depends on which interview from Eddie Van Halen you read last. And I love that answer. But the album is phenomenal. I mean, yes, we're kind of getting into synth territory here, but despite that, "Jump" is a phenomenal song. Overplayed or not, I love "Jump." Overplayed or not, I love "Panama." It's my favorite song on the album still. "Top Jimmy" is a killer tune. "Drop Dead Legs," very AC/DC-ish. "Hot for Teacher," some great playing from Eddie Van Halen. "I'll Wait," another great synth-driven tune. And the album closer, "House of Pain," one of the kind of best gems on this album, in my opinion. Features some more great work from Eddie on that one there. So 1984, it's a 10 out of 10 for me. Comes in the number 5 spot. Yep, in the number 4 spot, I got the debut album, Van Halen, released 1978. This is Van Halen introducing themselves to the world, and it's a phenomenal debut album. In my opinion, my humble, probably biased opinion, this is probably the greatest debut album of all time, to me. "Running with the Devil," killer song. I love the riff in that song, and though it's not Eddie's flashiest playing, it's still a great introduction track for the band. Then go right into "Eruption," which is Eddie's introduction to the band, putting the world on notice that Eddie Van Halen, the master, has arrived. Go right into the Kinks cover, "You Really Got Me," which is an awesome cover song that I do like better than the original. "Ain't Talking About Love," another great classic tune. "I'm the One," banging track, banging heavy track, and I love the swagger that David Lee Roth has when the song breaks down into the ba-ba-da shooby-doo-wah. I mean, that is just swag at its finest. "Jamie's Crying," probably my least favorite song on the album. "Atomic Punk's" awesome. "Little Dreamers," one of my favorite deep cuts here. "Ice Cream Man," "On Fire," great stuff. But how can I only have the debut album number 4? It's because all these albums are awesome and I love them all. But it's another 10 out of 10 for me. But it's only my number 4.
But everybody wants some. I want some too. Everybody wants some. Baby, how about you?
In the number 3 spot, I'm going to go with "Women and Children First," released in 1980, the 3rd studio album from Van Halen. And this is probably Van Halen's ultimate party album, in my opinion. I always felt like this album sounded like it was a little buzzed. And though I'm not a drinker, I just would imagine that this album sounds like what being drunk feels like. It just sounds like these guys were having a blast in the studio. That's what comes across the speakers to me. And these songs are phenomenal. "In the Cradle Will Rock," classic Van Halen tune. "Everybody Wants Some," another classic. "Fools," I love the guitar work in that. Some great riffs. "Romeo Delight," kicks you in the ass. Tora Tora, Lost Control, awesome as well. Take Your Whiskey Home, great deep cut. I love Could This Be Magic, and I love In a Simple Rhyme, kind of a more pop driven, accessible song to end things with. Phenomenal album. Another 10 out of 10. Women and Children First, my number 3.
We don't really match a macro, cause we're sick of these four walls. Now what you think is nothing might be something after all. Now you know this ain't no through street, the end is dead ahead. The poor folks play for keeps.
As hard as it is to rank these Roth albums, I did have to put the two that I was the most sentimentally attached to at the top two. And though I'm sentimentally attached to all 6, really all of the Van Halen albums, really, but especially the 6-pack, I think the two that made the biggest impact on me as a younger fan were these top two. And in the number 2 spot, I hate to put this at number 2, I really do, but I'm going to go with Fair Warning. I will never, ever forget getting this album for the first time. Mean Street just blew my mind the minute that it came through my speakers, and this album just sort of changed the way that I listened to music forever. If I had a moment where music changed my life, I think it was when I got this album. This features some of my favorite, possibly my 3 favorite Van Halen songs of all time, with Mean Street, Center Swing, and Unchained. If they're not my top 3 favorite Van Halen tunes, all 3 are in the top 5. You got some other greats on here, like Hear About It Later, Push Comes to Shove, which I used to not really care for, but I have grown to like it quite a bit. So This Is Love. It's a little bit of a brighter song on a rather darker album. I also love the 2 songs at the end, Sunday Afternoon in the Park and One Foot Out the Door. They just kind of have that really weird sound and vibe to it. And in many ways, that's actually kind of what I think of when I think of this album, is just that Sunday Afternoon in the Park kind of bizarre sound, but it's so awesome. David Lee Roth once said that song sounds like, what did he say? Like a crab or something? I always thought that song sounded like you're being stalked by Jack the Ripper in a park at night, but maybe that's just me. Killer stuff all the way through here, man. Cannot fault anybody for... I mean, I wouldn't fault anybody for any of their choices. Your favorite's your favorite. You do you. But Fair Warning easily could be my favorite. It's definitely a 10 out of 10. But I'm putting it at number 2. Yes, that leaves my favorite to be none other than Diver Down, the 5th studio album from Van Halen, released in 1982. And while this is not most people's favorite album, this one, I'm very sentimentally attached to this one. This was the album I got directly after Fair Warning when I was 13 years old. I got this for my birthday, actually. And I just remember playing this all weekend. And I just got attached to it. I mean, what else can you say? I think this is a great sounding album. It's a lot of fun. It's a very summertime album. The original songs on here, all killer tunes. Hang 'Em High, Secrets, Little Guitars, Full Bug, all amongst my favorite Van Halen songs. The cover tunes, I think, hold their own. Where Have All the Good Times Gone? Knocks the socks off the original as far as I'm concerned, and it's probably my favorite Van Halen cover song of all time. Pretty Woman, great. Dancing in the Streets might be my least favorite song on the album, but it's the best version of that song that I've ever heard. Big Bad Bill of Sweet William Now, I think is a fun little tune. And I like the instrumentals. Both Cathedral and Intruder are a lot of fun, and Little Guitar's intro certainly is a nice little lead into a great song there as well. So I get why this is not most people's favorite, because you kind of have all the cover tunes and whatnot, and Van Halen was rushed into making this. I get all that, but when I play this album, I feel like I'm 13 again. So it's just one that's always been very sentimental to me. And again, it's a 10 out of 10. Any of these Roth albums to me, just about interchangeable. I love them all. So let me know in the comments below how you would rank the Van Halen catalog. If you like this kind of content, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more videos like this in the future. and I'll catch you next time.